The word win is right at the heart of her name, Ashwini. She has been a winner at the world stage. She's fierce and competitive on court. She loves those big smash shots, and she's been a hero for millions of young boys and girls wanting to win accolades for India in badminton doubles. She's shown them the way with medals galore, 5 medals at the Commonwealth Games, of which 2 are gold, medals at the Asian Games in 2014, and a bronze at the Uber Cup, half a dozen medals at the South Asian Games, and she's one half of the first Indian pair to win a medal at the World Championships in 2011. Her Twitter bio says, good vibes only. And I'm sure the millions of kids watching us across the country right now will imbibe that happy, positive vibe from her in this conversation. The irrepressible Ashwini Ponnappa is our guest today on Fit India Talks. Ashwini, the word good vibes only is perhaps an indication of your belief in the philosophy of we attract what we are. And I can tell you there are a lot of young kids who can't wait to hear your story and your philosophy on what fitness, mental and physical is, and what it takes to be a champion, but also the need to be humble off court while you can be fiercely competitive on court.
True. In a world where quite often you see so much negativity, unfortunately, in the news, I think it's important to look at the positives as much as possible. Around you and in general, look for it and give out positive vibes rather than a lot of negativity. So yeah, positivity is something that is very important to me. And I think it is not just in my life, but also for me to be able to play well on court.
Let's go back to your days at St. Francis Xavier's High School. Now, kids who admire you and want to become like you want to know how Ashwini was as a child, because very often as kids we feel that our heroes and idols have always had perfect lives.
In school, how I was when I was in school, well, in school, you could say that, there's a lot of juggling between the game and studies. And initially, when I started playing, studies definitely came first, though I wasn't the brightest of students, but studies was a priority. But I think for me, at the time when I started training, the fact that I studied in a school that encouraged me a lot really helped. Because I remember my peers playing and they had trouble taking time off school, going to practice. And whereas for me, my school is extremely supportive. So that was a huge, huge motivation for me because I could take time off early, get to practice, and then, of course, with their support, manage both. But I think when I was in school, I was a lot more quieter than I am right now. Currently, I speak way more than I ever did when I was younger. And I was a lot into athletics. So it was either badminton or athletics. Though I didn't really train for athletics. It was more something that I was naturally fast at. And so just stuck around to into school and school level athletics.
What are your memories of starting out as a 4 or 5-year-old playing badminton outside your house?
I remember
Did something specific spark off that interest?
Well, not really. I never really gave it a lot of thought. I just played it for the love of the game. I enjoyed playing with my parents. I enjoyed playing with my friends. And we were living in the RBI quarters in Bangalore. And I remember that we had a tournament for the employees and their families. So we had a community hall, which had a badminton tournament. And this is something that's probably my first tournament that I've ever played in. And I remember playing, you have these age categories and it was fun. I remember enjoying it, though at that point of time, I never really knew the scoring system or any of that. We had the adults to guide us, but that was probably my first tournament and I remember enjoying it. It was good fun.
And then things got serious within 3 years. At the age of 8, I believe you met your first coach, Umapati. What was that phase like?
Well, things got serious in the sense that I was put into coaching. So that's when the game wasn't just restricted to playing outside. And the minute I started training with Umapati sir, he was very particular about the basics. So that meant that I was asked to stop playing outdoor badminton because he was like, whatever you're doing on court and whatever we're working on or whatever he was teaching me would get mixed up if I was to play with my parents or with my friends because we were working on contacting the shuttle right and contacting it at the right spot. So I think that was the last that I played outside for the longest time because it was all about stay there, just restrict yourself to playing at the court there because he was trying to when you're a kid, you're learning the basics, right? And you can get quite easily influenced by the ones around you. even unknowingly, if you're going to be playing without anyone monitoring you, you could just not like hit the shuttle right, or whatever you're working on could change. So for me, initially when I started, I mean, slowly it was, I think, alternate days or twice a week, and then gradually it was every day. And it worked because for me, my dad worked right next to where I was training. So it was like my mom and dad juggling me, taking me for practice, and the other bringing me back. So
And very early in those days, your perseverance and mental strength was tested because you'd keep losing the finals in under 10 competitions. And it took you about 3 or 4 years to set that right and win your first title. Was that phase the one that influenced your mental makeup the most in your life?
not really. I think, I mean, for me at that point of time, I remember my parents were worried that I had like a mental block and they felt like I was capable of winning and I wasn't. And that was when I met Ashlesh Rao. I mean, he was someone whom I worked with, and he's an NLP trainer. So he helped me to realize that I could enjoy the game and go out and have fun. And that was important. And I think it was important not just for me, but also for my parents. Because I mean, my parents were putting in a lot of time and effort, juggling their work, taking me for practice. So of course they wanted me to do well. But I think for me, that pressure also got to me when I was a little. And I'm not like, I mean, if you guys have watched The Last Dance, I know Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan can like switch a negative situation into a positive situation, and not everyone can do that. Well, didn't happen to be one of those. So for me, I was taught to like understand that I could enjoy the game and play. And that's when I won my first tournament. I think I worked with Ashlesh for a month or less than a month, and I ended up winning my first tournament after that.
First national title at the age of 15. Had the India dream taken shape by then, or
Not
did it
yet.
happen much later?
Not yet. I mean, I think winning that first national title made things a lot clearer to me that, okay, badminton is what I would want to pursue. And I think it also made things clearer for my parents that, okay, badminton is something that we can encourage her to take up. And I think that was pretty pivotal in my career, because that's when the switch happened. And that's when you're in high school, right? And it's like, okay, studies or it's the sport, and you don't know what to do. And then you have your board exams coming up and you're not too sure how to juggle both. But I think for me, again, things kind of worked in the sense that my parents were keen on putting me and pushing me towards the game. And at that point of time, it was like, okay, I studied in an ICSE school in Bangalore. So it was like, can Ashwini juggle like the game as well as the studies? Is it going to be too much for her? So they were actually going to put me into a state syllabus school because they felt that would be easier for me to like manage both my studies and the game. But I think I was lucky that the principal of my school then said, nothing doing, Ashwini can manage. And I was extremely grateful because, I mean, at the end of the day, I finished my schooling in one school and very grateful for that. And yeah, the fact that I didn't have a lot of pressure made it easier for me to like get through my boards, I would say.
With bright kids, whether it's academics or sports, there is a certain reputation thing. Oh, Ashwini is into sports, and so her life would be sports. But I read somewhere that you weren't much of a sport follower or a watcher, were you? And has that changed now?
It's definitely changed. When I was younger, I never watched sports at all. I was more into Cartoon Network. I think I was like, yeah, I was very kiddish when I was younger for the longest time. So just more or less the game and just having fun outside, playing with my friends or watching cartoons, but never really sports. It's just now, in the last couple of years, that I've developed an interest. And I think as you get older, you understand that you can learn, right? You can learn a lot from everyone and everything around you. And that's when you're watching other sports, it resonates a lot more with you. So
What kept you going apart from badminton? Was it comic books, or did you read other stuff, or what were your other interests like then?
to be honest, we never really had time, because it was everything revolved around the game. You'd wake up early in the morning, you'd go to play, you'd come back. No, you'd go to run. You'd go to the field and run and get your fitness training in. You'd come back, you'd have about an hour and a half, quick break, and then back on court, come back, a short break, and again back on court. So you never really had time to do much. And I was someone who never read when I was younger. It was only after, again, 15, 16 that I started reading. And once I figured out the joy of reading, then of course my in-between breaks were involved into a lot of reading.
Kids sometimes get enamored and they're in awe of sports persons and say, wow, she's got such a great racket. Look at that pair of shoes. And because at your level now, you can afford what you want for your sport. But when you were starting out, it was a very different world, wasn't it? When it came to rackets and shoes, it was a very different world then.
It was because you didn't have the kind of equipment and brands and variety of sporting gear that you have available right now. I think then it was only one big brand, and then getting a racket or shoe from there, especially for kids. You never had stuff for kids then. So you just make do with, I think, Keds or whatever shoes you had then. But now you have fancy shoes for little kids all the way up to adults. You have everything available, different brands, different price ranges. So I think and then things you valued a lot more, because you had like a branded racket. It was, wow, I have like a branded racket, and I still have my first racket with me, safely kept. And it's funny because, I mean, it mattered, it was a big deal. And as you get older and once you get sponsors again, you don't take things for granted because it doesn't come to you easily. It has a lot more value because you understand the value of the racket or the shoes or whatever you get.
And the lesson here is that not having expensive equipment is not an excuse for not pursuing a sport that you want to, isn't it?
Absolutely. As long as you have like basic equipment and you can work, of course, that's all you need. And then eventually, once you get to a level where you're doing well, things will come your way. But I mean, to start off with, anything is fine as long as you have the right attitude, mindset, and the will to like work and put in the hard work to like strive for something. Then yeah, that's the most important thing.
You said somewhere that you can never do it alone, and that's so important for kids to learn, isn't it? Because there are no solo heroes, even in an individual sport.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. You never do it alone. You start off with the support of your parents, followed by your coaches, followed by your teammates, followed by your friends, family. So it's like you have a team of people who get you to where you are. And it's not something that you ever do alone, though you might be the only one who is on court or who's the only one who's visible. But there are a lot of people behind you who help you to get to where you are. For me, it would be my coaches, my parents, my brother, my husband, family, friends, so many people, because they are the ones who understand what you go through, and they're the ones who see the behind the scenes activities, and they're the ones who pick you up when you fall, help you pick yourself up also when you fall. So yeah, it's a lot of people.
These days, kids and all of us perhaps can be a bit fidgety. There are a million distractions. There is social media, there are gadgets and phones and things like that. But you said somewhere that you are a very, very good listener. You've always been a good listener. Is that not the smartest shortcut to learning faster and learning better?
It is. I think it also came with the fact that I was quite an introvert when I was younger. So listening came naturally to me. And I think when you listen, you also observe, and then you see, and then you understand, and then you're learning. Because when you listen, you're learning about things that are happening, you're observing things that are happening around you. You take in, you become quite a keen observer, I would say. And that helps you to like understand things better and definitely help you learn to grow. I mean, listening is a great way to grow.
But how does this supposed introvert become this ferocious, aggressive player on court? What happens to you when you take that first step onto the court?
I think it changes. When you're at the court is where you express yourself, and then you unleash all the energy and emotions that you have. And especially because when you're striving to do really well and you're passionate about it, and then you want to achieve something, then you go all out on court. And off court, it's like, it's fine, you're more reserved. But on court, it is all or nothing.
Kids take a while to learn how to manage aggression. Have you ever overdone or underdone aggression on court?
I mean, initially, I remember one of the coaches, like when I was under 16, I think, under 16 or under 19, I think under 16, the coaches were watching me play, and then they were like, we don't know if if someone watched me play then, they wouldn't know if I was leading or I was trailing or I was losing, because my expression, I just had a blank expression, just like one expression. It was neither too excited nor was I like down. It was just one expression. They're like, you never know. I mean, if I was winning or losing. And fast forward to a couple of years later, and then you can make out that I'm really aggressive. I think I got to a point where I was like overly aggressive. It's like, okay, come on. It's like, you know, that sometimes once you get to a certain level, you need to show those emotions, because sometimes you win a match with those emotions being displayed. You know, it's not just a game. It's a lot that goes into winning. It's also showing that aggression. It's also showing that you're not going to back down and you're not going to give up. And having that stoic face and expression sometimes can be good to deceive your opponents, but at the same time, it's good to show that you're not going to give up and show that aggression, because that keeps your opponents on their toes.
Have you ever been pulled up by the coach for perhaps showing a bit too much aggression?
No, I haven't. I haven't. No one's, I mean, even if I have shown over aggression, I mean, so far at least none of the coaches have told me that I'm overdoing it.
There's much greater awareness and seriousness about fitness in India now, with a variety of programs being run by the sports ministry. Sports is going to be a part of the new education wave as well. What was your fitness regimen like when you started out, and how different is it now as a top level sports person?
I think they're polar opposites from when I started and what I'm doing now. Because initially, when I started, I think it was more old school. So there was, okay, whatever has been done in the past, hard work, go to the ground, run about 10 rounds for warm up. That's warm up. 10 rounds around a 400-meter track was warm up. And then you start off with the other exercises. And that was basic training. I mean, now when I look back, I feel like maybe that helped me on the whole, like, to last for so long. Or maybe if the kind of training I'm doing now was implemented then, things could have been a bit different. The training that I'm doing right now is very specific to my game.
Ashwini, I'm aware of your love for cooking, but what about your love for eating good food? Do the words eating right sit well with your lifestyle or your duties as a sports person, or is that a bit of a struggle?
Well, it has been a bit of a struggle, especially because I haven't been overly disciplined in that aspect, and I've gotten away with it so far. I mean, I think it's probably thanks to my genes that I have gotten away with it. But I think after a certain age, it's important to pay more attention, which I am trying to do, but still not to the best of my abilities. But I'm slowly trying to like eat cleaner, eat better. And I feel like I've been saying this for the longest time, but I think the most important thing is to understand that all our bodies are different. And it's important to, like, even if you're giving in to cravings, to like do it so in moderation and make sure that you're not overdoing it. And I do give into cravings every now and then, but make sure that I'm not overdoing it and doing it in moderation and trying to eat as healthy as possible.
And so, Ashwini, if a little kid came up to you and said, "Ma'am, what do I eat so that I can hit those big smash shots like you do?"
Well, it's funny because I remember a similar question being asked me when I was in school, because I was fairly fast and my friends were like, "What are you eating?" And at that point of time, I was like, for breakfast, I'm having oats, I'm having ragi porridge. And that was what I ate. Growing up, it was basically oats and ragi porridge with dry fruits. And even now, it would be like oats, ragi, and yeah, more porridgey stuff in the morning for strength. And then in the evening, it's your rice dal. Lunch, dinner is rice dal and some sabji. So yeah.
There is this wave of youngsters and modern day sports persons warming up to the magic and the power of yoga. Are you on the same page as well?
Well, yoga isn't something that I'm doing right now. I've done it growing up because my mom was a lot into yoga, and I mean, she made my brother do yoga, me do yoga. But I think currently, one of the things that I do like doing is breathing exercises, and I've found that it makes a huge difference. So, breathing exercise is something that I really, like doing and know that makes a huge difference to do.
And emotional health is an extremely important part of one's overall 360 fitness. So for you, does emotional health equal the love that you get from Jazz and Lola, your two dogs?
Absolutely. I think that is the love that I get from Jazz and Lola are the best ever. And I think that's something that's kept me going this lockdown, because it's unconditional and it's very it's very positive. Again, I'm someone who loves a lot of positivity, and I like the fact that they bring so much positivity and love and energy to the house. And just even if you're having a bad day, the kind of love that they share makes a lot of difference.
Actually, you seem like someone with very high EQ and a very steady head on your shoulders, despite the pressures and the fame and the expectations in you. You also help a few animal welfare organizations. Is a lot of this a function of great parenting?
I would say it is, because I mean, growing up, we did rescue, or rather, my mom rescued a lot of birds, a lot of animals, and we'd keep going to Cuba and SPCA in Bangalore. So it's something that I grew up around, and I've always been, I've always loved animals, and I've always been wanting to do something for animals. And fortunately for me, I've met and been to both VOSD, that's Voice of Stray Dogs, as well as Rescue in Pune. And it's amazing because once you go and see the kind of work that they do, you understand what goes into looking after the animals. And that's probably one of the reasons why I really love the work that they do and want to support them, because I might not be able to do the kind of stuff that they do, but I can support them in whatever little way I can.
A lot of little kids, when they look at their heroes, they feel that the heroes have all the answers. So have kids come up to you and said, "Ma'am, tell me how to become like you." So if you have this, maybe this one golden nugget, one golden mantra for young kids who want to emulate you.
I think is to enjoy the work. Enjoy. If you're someone who enjoys playing, then the hard work should be fun. Like, do it as something that you want to do rather than you being forced to do it. And if that happens, then you'll enjoy every bit of it and you'd want to do well in it, you know. And if you don't enjoy it, then it's tough. So it's always important to find a way to like enjoy the work, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey.
Right. Ashwini, your smash shots are your trademark. They're supersonic. And we're now going to test your ability to respond to a fun rapid fire. All set? Shall we go?
Perfect.
Okay, then here we go. I've done a bit of research on your likes and dislikes on entertainment and a few other things. So brace yourself. Korean web series and films or Kannada Telugu films?
I would unfortunately have to side with Korean web series. I'm a huge fan.
Ryan Gosling's Crazy Stupid Love or The Notebook?
The Notebook any day.
Okay, pick one. Park Soo-jin, a Korean star, or Ryan Gosling?
Currently, it would be Park Seo-joon.
I know that you love farming as well, so pick one. A day with a spade at a farm or a day with your badminton racket?
Definitely a day with the badminton racket.
Okay. What do you cook better, chutney or dal?
Dal.
But I saw a picture of your chutney on Instagram. It
I
looks quite
know.
good.
I was very excited because that was the first time I made chutney, and I was like, I made chutney. It was like a eureka moment for me. So, yeah. Dal's better.
Okay. Your brother's music talents or his Insta stories, which have lots of insects and worms and bees?
Definitely his music talents. I'm petrified of insects, like petrified of insects.
One thing the world doesn't know about you?
I don't know. That's a tough one. One thing the world doesn't know about me. I think they know a lot of things about me. How I'm petrified of insects. I mean, if someone saw the way I reacted, they'd know the extent to which I'm scared. I mean, that's probably one. People don't know how crazy I go when I see an insect around me, because they'd be shocked at the way I react.
You've had a long career. It's been a long journey as well. One oops moment on court ever?
Quite a few. I think one of the weirdest things I've ever done on court, like the weirdest thing ever, is I was playing a match and my shoe came off once. And then I went for the next shot with one shoe on. It's probably like the weirdest thing and the craziest thing that I've done on court.
And still won the point, I'm sure.
No, I lost the point, unfortunately. It would have been cool had I won it.
Give me a title for your autobiography.
Probably something to do with clarity. I love the word clarity. It means a lot to me to have clarity. So something on the lines of clarity.
I know that you went to Russia to watch the World Cup with your husband. Ronaldo or Messi?
Ronaldo. for me.
I was amazed to know that you're also a 90s Hindi music lover. So give me one favorite 90s Hindi song.
I like a lot of them, actually. So one that came into my mind is Strings. I like the band Strings and the song Dani. Don't ask me to sing. I can't sing.
Maybe off camera. A lifetime supply of new expensive shoes or become the best piano player in the world? Because I know you're learning the piano these days.
Yes, shoes though. I would side with shoes. I love shoes.
And finally, the big one, the toughest one, Bangalore or Hyderabad?
That's the easiest. It's always going to be Bangalore. Always Bangalore.
Right. Once a Bangalore girl, always a Bangalore girl. What a pleasure it's been to listen to you. And I'm sure kids who have watched you are perhaps a lot more enlightened, much wiser now, having heard your views. And I'm sure they loved your good vibes only.
Thank you. I hope so. I hope they can take some good points from this. Thanks for having me.